Shalom, giving honor and praise to the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. This is Diaspora of Israel, Part 5, recapping also from what we discussed in the past. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 10. Therefore fear thou not, O Jacob my servant, saith the Most High, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall again be quiet and at ease, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with thee, saith the Most High, to save thee. For I will make a full end of all the nations where I have scattered thee. But I will not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not utterly destroy thee. Jeremiah 31, verse 10. Hear ye the word of the Most High, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel doth gather him, and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. For the Most High hath ransomed Jacob, and he hath redeemed him from the hand of him that is stronger than he. So I just wanted to have that to be read, so we can see emphatically what we've been dealing with and what we've been talking about. That the scattered tribes of Israel will eventually return back to the Most High, and will be ransomed by the Most High and redeemed by the Most High and return back to their land. And all the nations where Israel was scattered shall be destroyed. We spoke in last time in reference about Babylon. That kingdom's no more. We spoke about Assyria. That kingdom's no more. So shall it be to all the other kingdoms where Israel was scattered. They too eventually will be no more. So let that be noted and understood. Now I'd like to go, brothers and sisters, in recapping. We spoke about Tiglath-Pileser, who ruled in Assyria, as well as in the land of Babylon by the name of Pul. We also spoke about Shalmaneser, who ruled in Assyria, as well as in the land of Babylon by the name Ululai. And then we also spoke about his successor being Sargon, who ruled in Assyria. And after the death of Shalmaneser, this guy Sargon had a situation in a battle with Merodach Baladan of Babylon over the Assyrian province of Babylon. So let that be noted and understood in history. So when the tribes of Israel were taken to the Assyrian captivity, when Assyria eventually fell, it is reason to believe, as stated in part 4, that people of the tribes of Israel also went into Babylon. And it wasn't just Judah under the situation what happened with Jehoiakim and then later on with Zedekiah, as we went over in part 4. We're going to go now, brothers and sisters, and recap over what we did not go over in the previous parts. And let us go, brothers and sisters, even to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 18, so we can gain an understanding concerning this. We're going to go to 2 Kings 18, verse 13, so we can see, know, and understand what we're talking about in this aspect. It says, Now in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, did Sennacherib, the king of Assyria, come up against all the fortified cities of Judah, and took them. And Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent unto the king of Assyria, to Lachish, saying, I have offended. Return from me. That which thou puttest on me will I bear. And the king of Assyria appointed unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. What we just read is the situation of what happened between the people in Lachish, being in the land of Judah, and being taken into the land of the Assyrians. As you see, it went all the way up by the individual named Sennacherib, who invaded the people of Judah. This culminating in the timeline frame being in the year 700 or 701 BCE. That is to say, in the 8th century BCE, this particular thing happened, being about 20 or so years after the fall of the northern kingdom of Israel under the guy Hoshea, and who was ruling in the tribe of Judah was Ahaz at that time. So now what we're reading about right here is Judah being attacked by the Assyrian people. So let that be noted and understood. I have a reference book to collaborate what we were speaking on. This comes from a book entitled The Bible is History in Pictures. This here is what they call the Hezekiah prism, in which Sennacherib speaks about what we just read in the scriptures. And here's what it says in part. As for Hezekiah of Judah, who did not submit to my yoke, 46 of his strong walled cities, as well as innumerable small cities in their neighborhood, I besieged with scaling ladders, siege engines, infantry, breaches, mines, and tunneling, and I conquered them. Those of his cities which I had plundered, I cut off from his land, and diminished his land. I increased his former tribute, and exacted a yearly tax, an acknowledgement of my sovereignty. But as for Hezekiah, he was intimidated by the splendor of my power. So runs Sennacherib's lively and fascinating description of the stirring events during his Palestine campaign in 701 BCE. So I just wanted to sit there and have that particular thing to be read, because it goes to show that the scriptures, as well as external reference, speaks about Sennacherib attacking the tribe of Judah. And so therefore, for record purposes, nobody leaves it on record that they got, to put it in layman terms, their butt spanked by a foreigner for their daughters to in the future to read and it not be true. Nobody makes up a story of being besieged. So I just want to sit there and let that be noted and understood. This right here is from the wall in Assyria, of them speaking about capturing the people of Judah from the land of Lachish. Now, if you notice very faintly, these are captives of the house of Judah. Well, needless to say, they are pictured with afros. Okay, and we showed a picture like this in part 1 of Diaspora of Israel. So that way we can let this be noted and understood, brothers and sisters, of what we are speaking of in particular. Okay, now, Sennacherib was and is the king that we have been speaking on concerning this kind of matter. I have a reference book, brothers and sisters, concerning this kind of matter. It is entitled The Ancient Black Hebrews and Arabs. Okay, and on page 37, we see this here. Judean of Lachish being thrown from city walls by an Assyrian soldier. This right here is a picture and an image of what they have concerning that. Then, as we go on and turn the page, details of Lachish Judean. His hair and beard is African, as we see here. Similar to this one here. Judean being executed by an Assyrian soldier, as we see here. Details of Lachish Judean being executed, the hair type is consistent, and as we see here. This right here is pictures of Israelites from the wall in the situation with the people of Lachish. Typical Hebrew hair, consistently very curly and short. And as we see here, Judean people being led into the Assyrian captivity in the 8th century BCE. So that right there, brothers and sisters, is very, very important for us concerning this kind of matter and what we have been discussing. Just wanted to sit there and let that be noted and understood. Now, for further reference concerning this kind of thing, and the point partly in this is because many brothers and sisters have told me to show more pictures of the books I'm talking about and more references, as opposed to just having a dark screen that some people were saying and just speaking. This right here comes from a book entitled Ancient Near Eastern Texts and Pictures. This is speaking about the siege made upon the people of Judah by the Assyrians. So we can see, know, and understand exactly what we're speaking about. This right here is nothing that's just made up. This right here is nothing that's just decided to be spoken upon because the brother has nothing else to do. Blessed be the Most High. This kind of information is going to wind up keep on coming out. Okay? Now, I have a book here. It is entitled The Rise and Fall of Ancient Egypt by Wilkinson. And on page 407, we read the following. And it says this. When the Assyrian ruler Sennacherib began a systematic consolidation of his western territories, Egypt decided that The covert encouragement of local insurgencies would serve its interests better, and began to stir discontent among the fractious rulers of the Near Eastern city-states. The policy backfired disastrously. Sennacherib invaded Palestine to suppress a revolt, whereupon one of the ringleaders, Hezekiah of Judah, turned to Egypt for military support. It was a request Shabako could scarcely refuse. He summoned his nephew Taharka, still a prince of the age of 20, north from Nubia to lead the campaign, and the two armies met at El Taqwa, 10 miles from Ashdod in 701 BCE. Taharka's force was besieged and then heavily defeated. Withdrawing to a safe distance, he planned to attack the Assyrians from the rear once they had moved on to Jerusalem to demand Hezekiah's surrender. But Sennacherib was too seasoned a commander to fall for such a ploy. He promptly recalled his troops from the Judean hills, faced down the Egyptian attack, and forced Taharka to flee back to Egypt with the remnants of his defeated and dejected army. Cushite military prowess had finally met its match. Egypt was on notice. So I just wanted to sit there and have that read, and so that way we can gain an understanding of what was going on in the world history concerning that time. Egypt was going through what they call their 25th dynasty. Assyria was still in their prime, and the northern tribes of Israel were already fallen as a kingdom, and the southern kingdom of Judah decided it was a good idea to run to Egypt for help, which, come to find out, was not the best thing for them to have done. So I just wanted to sit there and have that be noted and understood. Egypt's 25th dynasty is when the Cushite people were ruling in the land of Egypt. And that right there, brothers and sisters, becomes very, very important in this type of situation. So that way we can see, know, and understand historically what in the world we're talking about. Now, a list of kings, brothers and sisters, concerning Egypt's 25th dynasty. All right, so we can gain an understanding concerning this is as follows. Pianki, Shabako, Shabitquo, Taharka, Tantamani. Those were the kings that ruled, they say approximately in history, from 747 or 746 BCE until 656 or 655 BCE. So that right there is very important. The dynasty after that, brothers and sisters, was Dynasty 26, which they refer to also as the Sais, S-A-I-S, Dynasty of Egypt. Then the dynasty after that was Dynasty 27. Dynasty 27, by then Babylon had fallen. Cyrus then came up as a Persian ruler. So that way we have to then know and understand the world timeline and sequence in order to be able to gain an understanding of what in the world we're speaking on and what in the world we're talking about. So in concluding this particular subject matter right here, just wanted to have it to be known and shown that you had it to where the northern tribes of Israel was taken into captivity, starting with Naphtali, then Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh, and then the tribes that went all the way basically from Issachar to Ephraim. And then the kingdom fell of Israel in the year 720, 721 BCE, ultimately to Sargon. Sargon's successor was Sennacherib. Sennacherib, we read inside the book earlier, spoke about he capturing the people of Lachish and exacting tribute on Hezekiah, which the scriptures speak on. Assyria dominance winded up coming to fruition when they also smashed the people of Egypt, that is to say the Ethiopians that was ruling in there at that particular time. Now, also, brothers and sisters, Sennacherib was killed, or that is to say assassinated, by his sons in history. And then his son Esarhaddon began to reign. And as we go into part 6 and part 7 and 8 concerning this, we will sit there and speak about Esarhaddon and Manasseh. We will sit there and then go into what happened with the fall of Babylon and the rise of Persia. And so that way we can gain an understanding exactly how this whole thing ties into world history. So with that, I say thank you for the time. Shalom, Most High bless. Everyone have a good day and night.